I have two women with me who will be sharing their stories with you. With me on the stage today, I have Pia and Sesetu. Welcome, ladies. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
So I'm going to now ask Pia, now you guys have faced you ladies have faced some dark times and exceptionally dark times, but you've also seen light breaking through. I'm going to ask Pia. Pia, will you share your story with us first?
Well, hi everybody. Welcome to Arise. Last year, January, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, stage 4 colon cancer, which had metastatized into my liver. It was obviously very traumatic. I went through, had to go in for an operation where they found out where the cancer was situated. I had to go for the camera and not the one you put down your mouth. So, I went through that operation and they found that the tumor was actually lodged in between my big intestine and my small intestine. So it was blocking up. Yeah, it was blocking up there. So I had to go in for an operation very quickly. My doctor said to me, look, you can't wait. But yes. I wanted time just to think about it and, just to sort of take my time to, just process this whole thing. And he said, look, under no circumstance can we actually wait any longer. So we need to do. I saw him the Friday. He'd already scheduled me for the surgery on the Monday.
Wow.
But I wanted time, and I said to him, I need time. And I said to him, I need time, he said to me, under no circumstance.
Wow.
And I remember sitting in the chair opposite him, and I just remember feeling God's presence. I had wanted 3 months to sort of just get my metabolism up and absolutely, and also just getting a bit healthier because obviously my hemoglobin was very low. It was 7, and I was a bit worried about going into an operation with such low iron. And so he said, look, under no circumstance. And as he said that, I felt God just wrap me in his arms, and I just felt not peace, but like a surrender. Okay, I have got to do this. I've got to go through this. So I went in for the operation and obviously recuperated very quickly, praise God. But sitting back in the doctor's office, and he's telling me that, look, you've got to go through the chemo, you've got to go through the radiation. And I felt that I just needed to go more of a healthy route. And I'm not saying that chemo and radiation is bad, but for me, I wanted to go the healthy route. And I said to him, look, this is sort of what I need, what I feel I need to do. And it, I know that God heals people instantly.
Yes.
But and that's great.
Yeah.
But with me, it's a process. He's taken me through a process of healing. So I was a very stressed person because of my 2 businesses, and I needed to de-stress. I needed to seek God. I needed to surrender all to him.
Now tell us, how did that happen, Pia? What was the healthy route? How did you surrender?
Okay. So surrendering to God for me was more part of my life that I hadn't surrendered.
Okay.
And him just guiding me in the stressful situation that I was in, de-stressing, looking after the temple that he's given you, which we don't when we stress. So
that's true.
We don't. I went almost overnight totally vegan. So I had read up a lot about cancer and healing cancer, etc., etc. And I obviously knew God telling me, we are going to go through this process. Totally vegan, overnight, and I started juicing carrots, 2 liters a day. I went orange.
Really?
I did. I went totally orange. But, going onto such a diet, your taste buds don't like it, but I promise you now, I can't imagine not being on this diet. So, but also my oncologist said to me, I explained to him, look, this is what I'm going to do. And I've heard of people actually being sort of almost chased out of their rooms because they know medicine, they know oncology.
Yes.
They don't understand a natural route. So he said to me, I'm going to give you 3 months. That's it. I want you back in this office in 3 months' time. You can, I want a blood test and I want another CT scan. I did. I did my vegan thing, and after 3 months I was back in his office, and he said to me, look, I don't know what you're doing, but what you are doing, carry on with. Because my cancer count was going down. There was still the spots on the liver he was very worried about. He says, you've got another 3 months. And yeah, that is since last year, January, we've been on this walk. And right now, my last checkup with him, there's still spots on the liver. And I believe that that is something I'm living with, and I'm fine, I'm healthy, but my cancer count is under 2. And he says even for a person without colon cancer, he says it's unheard of.
That's an amazing story.
Praise God. Yeah.
Now, before I ask you a lot of questions, because I have questions, I want to hear Sesetu's story. Sesetu, will you share your story of the darkness and how the light broke through that darkness?
Firstly, thank you so much for inviting me to this panel. I am extremely honored. For me, I don't think there is one specific, moment when it comes to a dark story. So I'm just going to narrate a little bit about myself, a little bit about my life, and up until where I am today. I grew up as a young black girl in a colored community in a place called Heath Park in Bethelsdorp, going to a multiracial school, and you're just faced with a myriad of different types of identity crises because you're a black girl. What are you doing? Going to, the northern areas, and then you are in a white school, and so you're faced with all sorts of different dynamics, and you are just consistently in a position where you're fighting for your presence, where you're fighting for acceptance, and fighting to be taken for who you are. I remember even when we were younger and you catch the bus, and people would be like, are you sure you're on the correct bus? You're not supposed to be on this bus. This bus is going to Cleary Park. And I'd be like, yes, I know where I'm going. You don't need to tell me all the time. Then you find yourself in a predominantly white school where you're asked, why is your hair a little bit too frizzy? Why is it not, plaited down so that it's a little bit extra neat for the other children to, I don't know what, see over your head. And you're just constantly in a position where you don't find any representation of who you are. You're not validated in any space that you are in. And anyways, life went on, and I went to work in my first internship. And I remember there were 3 or 4 of us, and in my internship, my boss was like, your English is so good. Why do you speak like that? You don't speak like the others. So I'm like, what does the others mean? So as that progressed, I went on to lecture at the university, and I lectured PR. So I'm a PR and communication specialist. And I found that, there were so many young girls who were also doing PR. And when you look into the way they do PR and the way, the rest of the class does it, it's not the same. This is because there were no platforms available, there was no resource available, and there was no representation of seeing yourself as a PR and communication specialist in the Nelson Mandela Bay. So that is essentially where my company, Sesetu Gqomo Communication, started, because I wanted to see someone being represented who looked like me, and for someone who looks like me to say, wow, if that lady can do it, then what is stopping me from doing it? So from creating that platform and being consistently looked in a way that is kind of, unsure, or you're a little compromised, or, people aren't really confident of what you have to bring to the table, to have a narrative that you wish to see was to then create the narrative and not wait for someone to validate that narrative for you.
And that must have been quite a journey to get to that
Absolutely.
place. A struggle. But now
100%.
we've got such different stories today, so I'm going to ask both of you. Were there ever moments when you were in your dark place, a dark place of whether it was struggling with your identity or, what you want in the future, or not being accepted, like you say, fitting in, or whether it was with your health and it must have been quite a scare. Were there moments in that dark place where you felt that God had forsaken you?
I can go. All right. I must be honest. Even though, as I was, when I had the colonoscopy, as I woke up, my doctor came to sit on my bed and said to me, "Pia, I have seen this 100 times. I know it's cancer."
Yeah.
You know what? I never felt fear. I
Okay.
never felt, oh, I've got cancer. It was as if God had prepared me for something. I didn't know what it was. I thought I might have had an ulcer, or I was not prepared for cancer. But there was then a peace. But I must be honest, even though with a peace and God walking with me every step of the way, that's what he said to me. He says, "I've got you in the palm of my hand." That was his words to me. So I knew whatever walk I was walking, he had me in the palm of his hand. So I knew that. When you are alone at night and you wake up and you sort of go, "Oh my word, where is this going to?" Yes, you are on the road to healing, but you still, and I must be honest, there were nights where I just lay and just prayed, "Oh God, just take this away, just heal me instantly." But you know what, today I say thank God he didn't, because my walk and the process that he's taken me through, I would not be able to live without it.
Yes,
So, yeah.
that's amazing. So, Setu, and you, were there moments, when you were on the bus or when you didn't feel like were you questioning God, where are you? Why am I in this situation?
A lot of times, you find yourself asking yourself questions like, why do I live where I live? Why did my parents take me to the school? Why am I, in this situation? And fortunately for me and my sister, my mom brought us up in a very strong Christian home where she taught us to affirm ourselves and to affirm ourselves with the Word of God.
Wow.
So even at a young age, you would say in the morning before you go to school that greater is He that is within me than he that is in the world.
Amen.
And she would enforce or not enforce, but she would,
Reaffirm
reaffirm the Word of God into our head, so that even when she's not there, we could always refer to the Bible. And one of my favorite scriptures even then was, the end of a thing is always better than the beginning of a thing, and that patience is always better than pride. So even if you find yourself in a compromised situation, be patient and know that it's not the end. If it's not great, if it's not God ordained, it's not the end. So that is what has, kept me going in that time.
Now you're in this dark place, and I just want to know, what does it look like before you actually see the light? How do you know that it's coming now? This darkness, it's going to light up. God is going to... Is there something that made you feel like, okay, and were you right? No, God is going to come through now. Was there a moment like that? They always say it's darkest before the light. Was there a moment like that?
I can't really say for me there was a place. There was a lot of little places like that,
Okay.
but there wasn't like a main moment that I can say, okay, I know that from this darkness I am now walking into the light. So
Okay.
with all the things that I was dealing with, that's why Pastor Mariana's message last night to me,
stunning.
it was the rats coming and
Yes.
cutting away. It was just amazing for me. So yeah, not really.
Was there a pivotal moment for you in that dark place?
I
Setu?
think, when I resigned and left the working world to pursue this thing that, had been irking in my heart, that I wasn't sure how it was going to play out, or, what is going to happen in the next 6 months or in the next year. I have no secured clients in the company. And my dad has been an HR practitioner for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So he was like, you can't do that. You need to have a permanent position so that you can have benefits and retirement annuities and whatever. And I was like, you know, in a world where we are temporary beings, I don't believe that I need to strive for a permanent position. Because, I mean, look at COVID. COVID has shown us that, you know, anything
can change at
is
any
possible.
moment.
So, you know, I think that moment of darkness and unsurety and the voices around you saying,
Oh, yes, those
are you
voices.
sure you're doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Are you sure that you want to, you know, leave a comfortable position and, you know, go out into to the unknown, basically? How are you going to cover your overheads? How are you going to take care of yourself
Now-
in this time?
And another question I want to ask you about that, because there are these doubts and these fears, but was there anything that helped you cope during that time? Because we have a lot of women watching tonight and they are maybe facing something that's really dark in their lives, whether it's your health or your marriage, your children, your income. There might be something. Was there something that helped you cope, and what advice would you give to the women at home?
I can just really say to everybody, when you are going through a dark place, when you're going through something in your life that is really dark and uncertain and scary and fearful, surrender. Just surrender all. That is how I got through my dark moments. It's just surrender all to Him.
Okay, so say to.
For me, it was always having the vision in mind. So even when I wasn't sure what exactly I was going to be doing, I always had an image of my company logo having my initials on it. And I wasn't sure how it was going to work out. So I drew the initials and I put it on my
Okay,
vision
clever.
board. And it was something that I always referred to when I felt, what am I doing? Am I crazy? Why did I do this? And I see that vision. So I think for anyone who is going through a hard time, have a vision that is imprinted so that each time you feel that you're not seeing the end or you're not seeing the light, to look at it and remember that that is why we are here, or this is what we are doing this for that end goal in mind.
Now, looking back at that dark, we're going back to the into the night. And as you go into the night in that dark place, when you think about it, or when you speak about that doctor's appointment, or you speak about that experience on the bus, how does it make you feel today? Do you feel like you've moved on from it, or does it still hurt, or does it still stir up emotions inside of you?
Not for me. The walk that I had to go through, it's, you know, I see myself in the light now. I see myself on the other side of this thing. Seriously, it's whether they say there's still cancer lying in your liver, or it's I am through it. God is with me, and
Because for me personally, sometimes you go into this dark place, but it's almost more difficult to just let go of the fact that you were in the dark place. Even if you're in the light, you might still have your mind in that place. So, Setu, and you?
For me, what I've realized is that, you know, the stars will always align to what your life is meant to be. So for me, I've just taken all of those negative moments and made the most out of them. I feel that they've made me a stronger person. I can speak a lot of languages. I can speak English, Afrikaans, isiXhosa. I did French in high school. And, you know, everything that happened was for me and it wasn't against me. And that if I take that with me, I know that, you know what, that wasn't a great experience. But from that, I learned to, you know, stand up for myself. I learned to be assertive. I learned, you know, A, B, C, and D. So whatever has happened, it happened for me, and it wasn't to harm me.
And looking back at the person you were, before you got the news even, Pia, or even when you got the news, that person, and looking at her, is there something that you would have done differently?
no, definitely
Do you
not.
feel like, and even before the doc, was there something in your life that changed after this diagnosis, after the way you changed your diet? Would you have changed anything before, you know?
Absolutely. 100%.
What would that be?
Not to stress as much as what I did. And you know what? To stop and smell the roses. You know what?
Really?
Life is not just about work and you know, it's about life. And that is what God taught me. There is more to life. I am much more than just waking up in the morning, going to work, coming home, waking up, going to work, you know. And running your own business it
Tough.
can be really tough.
Very
But
tough.
we have got to stop and smell the roses. We really do.
And Sesete, looking back at yourself in that time where you were, whether at school or at university, questioning things, were there things that you would have done differently?
Not at all. Funny enough, I was actually invited to speak at my school as my alma mater about 13 years after I had matriculated. And, you know, I told the girls, I said, guys, you know, because when I got in, I was invited to the principal's office for some tea and quiche. And I said, guys, you will not believe what just happened to me. So I'm saying this on to the scholars that I've never been invited to the principal's office for tea and quiche. It was always for my unsigned detention slips or, like, you know. So whatever happens, like, it just creates a full circle. And you were that person for a reason. And the fact that they invited you back to say that, look at the great work that she's doing, is to say, you know, take it easy. If you're not the head girl or the prefect or the, you know, sports captain or whatever, it's fine. It doesn't mean that your life is doomed. There is just so much more to life and to experiencing the best things long after you've left your school.
Yeah.
So don't let your childhood or your high school career define who you're going to be in the future.
No, absolutely. Now, this time in your life, this journey that you've both made through completely different stories, but this journey, how did this journey impact upon your family life or your friendships? Did it have an impact on those?
Mine most definitely did a little bit. I must say I probably withdrew a little bit from family and from friends. I just really immersed myself in just getting better, getting to know God better. And now on the other side of it, I can really say that to be able to help somebody through what I've been through is where that darkness comes up again. When you're speaking to somebody that's going through what you've gone through, yes, you feel it, but you feel it for them. And that compassion that you have for them is sort of birthed out of your own darkness in a way, you know. And yeah, so.
And you, Sesete?
For me, what I've learned, especially in
with your friends and your family,
Yeah.
relationships.
that, you know, when you have a need, and this is something that was also, you know, even engraved by my Connect leader, who said, you know, when you have a need, sow a seed. When
Oh,
you
wow,
have
yes.
a problem, don't focus on your problem. Help someone else, and God will solve that problem for you. So if you have issues with someone at work, you know, show compassion to someone else and focus your energies on someone else. If you have, you know, marital issues at home, you know, do good things outside of your situation, because sometimes you get so engulfed in what you are experiencing and you just forget about everything else. So for every time you are, you know, going through something, focus your energies on something completely different and channel your energies in something that is uplifting and positive, and you'll find that you know, you'll find another strategy or another approach, or God will have worked it out for you.
Now, one of my final questions is this journey with God that you've both had, how has your view of God changed? Before you saw God one way, how do you see God? Tell me how you saw God then and how you view him now. Pia.
Okay, for me, sure, it's very hard to say, but for me, God fitted into my life. So that was my God, even though you come to church, you go through the motions, but he really had to fit into my life, which obviously is not the way. Now I know that I fit in to his will, and he doesn't fit into my will. So he has gotten a lot bigger, a lot greater, and yeah, it's been amazing. It's an amazing walk.
And Sesethu, how did you see God then, and how do you see him now?
For me, you know, I saw God as this great person that I revered and, you know, didn't want to take all my problems, or if I did pray, I had to have a really filtered prayer, you know. And now that you have just gone through so much, you know, and have experienced so much, I feel that God is now an intimate part of my life, that he's someone that I can talk to about anything at any given point in time, whether I'm in the car, whether I'm at Woolies, whether I am, you know, just thinking about something, and, you know, and just have a consistent conversation with God, and not, you know, set God time for a specific time and I have to be in a specific space. But it's just more of an intimate relationship with him, that I need him all the time. I need him every day, and I need him just here with me. So I definitely feel the change.
So I just want to ask, because I know that you came here and you must have had your testimony on your heart and you must have thought about it. And I want to give you each an opportunity to just share something from your heart, a final word, because we're wrapping up now. So a final word for the women at home who are watching. Maybe you're facing a dark time and you really don't know how to get through it, or even something in your past that's happened and you don't know how to get past it. I'm just going to ask Pia and Sesethu to just share something from their heart, just a final word for you of encouragement. Pia, would you like to go?
Okay, so as I said before, for me, it was definitely just surrendering all, and not just one little bit of your life or this little bit, but surrender everything, the whole lot. Just lay it down in his feet and just ask him to work it out for you.
Absolutely. And you, Setu?
For me, I would say one of my favorite scriptures is to trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and do not rely on what you think you know. You know, because sometimes we find ourselves that, you know, I have a postgraduate, whatever, and I've been here and I've got 10 years experience and I'm great and I sit on these boards. And you trust in the Lord with all of your heart and do not rely on what you think you know. And in all your paths, acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. So no matter how I think in my natural strength that I have achieved so many accolades, I need to remember to first trust in the Lord with all my heart before taking any decision, whether it's big or small.
Wow, I'm so encouraged by you ladies. Thank you, Pia. Thank you, Sesethu, for joining us today. You've shared so much encouragement, so much wisdom, and I know the women at home have taken a lot from this. Well, thank you for joining us. But right now, we are going to go over to a song item.